video. Today we are, I've got some really good news for you. There is a great job. I've talked about it before. And with me is Trish from Express Employment Professionals. And you have two really great jobs. So why don't I just try and let you do most of the talking? And why don't you tell us about the job opportunities you have for us today? Let me say that today we're shooting this at mid-December of 2022, and these jobs are available starting in January of 2023. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
Very good. So tell us about the two jobs. Well, really only one, but they kind of go together, that you have available for nomads in general.
There is two opportunities that we provide, that is DIGI-KEY and Beet Harvest. But DIGI-KEY is, we are getting to a point with migration that there's not going to be that many class start dates available. So I really want to get the word out to people and let them know that in January, January through May, there's only going to be 5 more start dates if you are interested in signing up and going out to DIGI-KEY.
So we've talked about DIGI-KEY before, and a number of our community have gone and worked there. But for those who are new to it, who is DIGI-KEY?
So DIGI-KEY is a product distribution center, and for electronic components. Migration specifically is the position that is held on third shift. And what they will be doing is they will be moving DIGI-KEY's inventory from their current building to a new building that they just built. There's other positions that are out there, such as pick and pack, and those are more fall in line with like the product distribution aspect of the warehouse. But migration is just moving the inventory from the old building to the new building.
So would I physically, if I decide I want to work there and go there, am I physically going to be carrying products from one building to the other, or I'm just inventorying them and packing them in boxes?
You will not be carrying them over. How it works is that nightly there is a listing of inventory and quantities of that inventory that needs to be packaged and moved over to the new building. And how they move it over is the associates, they go out and they collect that quantity of the item, they bag it up at their bay, their computer station, and then they put it in a bucket of sort, and then they put it on a conveyor belt, and that conveyor belt actually takes it over to the new building. So you're not physically carrying any items over to the new building.
So you mentioned it is third shift, and what exactly is third shift?
So third shift is 8:30 p.m. to 5 a.m. You do have the option to pick between either a Monday through Friday or a Sunday through Thursday schedule, but it would be that 8:30 p.m. to 5 a.m.
And what is the pay, so people have a good idea if this is something they're interested in doing?
So the pay is $20 an hour.
Very good. And what about overtime? How will overtime work here at DIGI-KEY?
So overtime is not mandatory. How it works for DIGI-KEY is based off of their need. They establish an allotted amount of hours per day. And then they send an email out saying, for this week, Monday, there's 2 hours available. Tuesday, there's 4 hours available. And then it's at your discretion. If you want to fulfill those hours, then you would just sign up for it. And then that's how you would accumulate your overtime hours. Other than that, it's not mandatory. If you don't participate, it's not like, you know, any kind of black mark or anything like that. It's totally up to you.
Very good. So it's basically 40 hours a week and occasional overtime. So we would say steady availability of overtime, not mandatory. If you want it, you can take it. And if not, you can just not take it at all.
Correct. Yeah.
Very, very good. And where is it going to be?
So it is in Thief River Falls, Minnesota. So that is about 5 hours, 5.5, 6 hours north of Minneapolis, give or take.
Okay, and it's cold country. So
yes.
And we're talking about job availability begins sometime in January through May. And then you might be looking at the beet harvest, and you also run the beet harvest. We'll talk about how they can work together super well. So it's going to be cold. And are you going to have people housing provided for people?
Yes, housing is provided, and if you are in a camper, if that's your like your residence, then what we can do is we can actually put you in a hotel until the campground's open, and that hotel would be covered. And then when you transition into a campground, that campground would also be covered.
Right. And for a lot of the people that are in my community, they do it yourself rigs, and so they don't have a real RV per se. Can they be in either the hotel at first or in the campground?
Yeah, absolutely. So they can be in the campground, or excuse me, they can be in the hotel until the campground opens, and then they can go into the campground if they like. In order to go into the campground, you would need to have Class B requirements. So you would need to have like that sink, stove, fridge, and bed. If you come up here and you don't have those requirements for your camper or your van, whichever you have, then you do have the option to stay in the hotel. We would still cover that hotel even if the campgrounds are open.
So whatever vehicle someone is
Yes,
living in, this job's available to every one of us.
absolutely. Yes.
Wow, that is just really amazing. So $20 an hour, you have no costs for housing the entire time. And the entire time is, do you have a requirement, a contract that you require?
Yeah, so we do have a minimum requirement of 3 months, and that 3 months starts when you get out at DIGI-KEY. And as of right now, we have class start dates once a month, starting January through May. Now, even if you come in May, you still are eligible to have 3 months and maybe even possibly longer if you choose. So that could extend all the way through August, but we do require that 3 month minimum commitment, no matter when you start. If you start in January, we still would require the 3 months, and then you still would be eligible if you choose to stay past. You could stay till May if you like, or farther out, depending on, if work is available.
So once a month, you have an orientation, and they're calling classes, and that is actually the beginning of your job. So if you apply and you're hired, then well, let's talk about January. So if someone could apply now, be hired for January, and the class. When does the first class, the orientation class, begin in January?
So how it would work is if you started in January, you would start January 23rd, and so we would ask for that minimum commitment of 3 months. But if you wanted to extend it, then you're more than welcome to. You would just communicate it with the office and your supervisors, your express supervisors on site. Say you start in the May class, which is May 15th. We would still ask for that 3 month commitment, so that would carry you into August. Now, keep in mind, even individuals that started in January, they still potentially could be there in August with the individuals that started in May. We typically schedule an arrival 3 to 5 days prior to starting at DIGI-KEY. And that's because we have an express orientation that Thursday prior to the Monday starting at DIGI-KEY. And that's when you meet with myself and the other DIGI-KEY coordinators. You go through your paperwork, make sure all like your hiring documents, your documents are correct. And then there's other things like you do drug screening. And then you also watch an orientation video. Basically, we prepare you for your first day at DIGI-KEY. And then we give you the weekend to kind of get acclimated, get set up, familiarize yourself with the area. And then that following Monday is when you start at DIGI-KEY.
You know, I've been working with you guys for a while, and I know how professional you are. You're not just some small fly-by night outfit that just popped up. And so this is very professionally done. If someone interviews, the hiring will be done entirely by phone and email. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes. So your initial interview will be over the phone with one of our coordinators. And then all of the communication after that will mainly be through email. But you can always reach us. You can always give us a call. Any questions? Our office is open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and we are here ready to answer any questions. But after the initial interview and checklist, the majority of the communication is through via email.
And before anyone, you will have sent them a letter saying you have a job. This is the day you need to be there. This is exactly where you're going to go and sleep or camp. Hotel or campground, depending on the time of the year. And so if you don't have a letter from you in your hand then you're doing something wrong. And if you have that letter, everything should go really smoothly.
Correct. Yeah. So once you've completed the interview, the checklist, you've done your e-docs, your electronic documents, you've completed the hiring steps, such as like filling out like background, all those things, then we start making your accommodation arrangements and we start filling out your offer letter, and we email your offer letter, and this outlines the entire opportunity in terms of arrival, getting settled, where to report, what time, what's the address. All that information is included in that offer letter, and that is emailed to you prior to you arriving in Thief River.
Right. So far, this is just a fantastic opportunity. You're making $20 an hour. You're working in a climate-controlled, modern building. So if it's hot outside or cold outside, you're comfortable. You're either in a hotel or a campground that's paid for. All the money you earn, you're keeping. So let's talk about the nature of the job. For most of us, we're immediately going to compare it to Amazon. And a lot of people are going to think of the negatives of Amazon, which is mandatory overtime. You're on your feet the whole time. And the possibility of, I know for a lot of us older folks, this isn't really true of the younger people among us, but for older folks, some people have issues with their wrists and carpal tunnel. So exactly what is the nature of the job, and what should I expect if I take this job?
Okay. So the job does have some physical requirements. In terms of like being able to lift, I think the biggest physical requirement in terms of age would be being able to lift 30 to 50 pounds. So as long as you're able to do that periodically, you wouldn't necessarily have to do that on the daily, but you would need to be able to do that. If you can fulfill that physical requirement, then I do think that it would be acceptable for you to say that you can meet the physical requirements. Other than being able to lift 35 to 50 pounds, the other thing is being able to be on your feet for 8 to 10 hours a day. Now, there is, DIGI-KEY has recommendations. I believe they even provide some insoles to put into your shoes to kind of help you alleviate any kind of pain or just getting acclimated to being on your feet, because the floors are concrete. So it could take a minute if you're not used to it, getting used to walking on that type of flooring for that long amount of time. You will, in those aspects, it is similar to Amazon. In terms of carpal tunnel and being repetitive, I don't feel that those are similar, because the role that you're going to be doing is you're going to be going out and you're going to be getting items off the shelf. You're going to be bringing it over to your bay. You're going to be moving it around. You're going to be packaging them up. It's not as repetitive.
If someone is interested, has a question, wants to know more, wants to actually begin the process, how do they contact you?
Well, there's multiple ways they can reach out to us. So there's the direct line to the office, which is 888-791-6738. There is a DIGI-KEY team here that would be happy to answer any questions that you have. And then there's also our social media platforms. We are on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we are on TikTok. If you go to Facebook and Instagram, you can find us under DigiCamp, which is DIGI-KAMP. And then on TikTok, I believe we're the Express Camper Opportunities. And on there, we post updates. It's a way you can message us if you have any questions. And if you just kind of want to see what we're up to and what's happening, that's another way that you can follow us. Our website is www.theunbeatableexperience.com. And this website is a great resource for not only DIGI-KEY, but it is also for the Unbeatable Experience, the beet harvest, sugar beets. So through this website, you can apply for sugar beets and DIGI-KEY. And it's also a place where you can find information for both of the opportunities.
So this really just is a great opportunity. So folks, if you want to promote the channel, also you can tell them that Bob Wells sent you. And actually, it's because Express Employment Professionals handles both the beet harvest and DIGI-KEY. It works really well to try to combine those two jobs together. And if a person was willing to put in 3 months or even more at DIGI-KEY before and then go almost directly into the beet harvest, you could really end up making quite a bit of money in a pretty brief period of time.
Absolutely.
Tell us about how that works, trying to do the two together.
Yeah. So you absolutely can make a crap ton of money going from one opportunity to the
Is that
next.
the
I'm telling you.
professional scientific way to describe that?
Yes. Yeah, and I apologize for that, but
No, I
yes, you
don't.
can. Um, so if you want to do both opportunities and you start DIGI-KEY, we just ask that you fulfill that 3 months with DIGI-KEY before you transition over. But yes, you can work DIGI-KEY, then you can transition over to beet harvest. And if there's still work available, you can return to DIGI-KEY afterwards. My recommendation is that sign up now. Get out there, make that money, put in your 3 months now while the position is still available.
Right. So anybody that's wanting a crap ton of money, now's the time. Just to summarize everything we've said here in one little point, through January through May of 2023, there's a great job available to you, $20 an hour at DIGI-KEY during their migration from one building to the other. It's in Minnesota. It's cold and hot in Minnesota, but you're in a climate-controlled building. They'll provide you with a campsite or a hotel. You can be in your car. You can be in an SUV. You can be in any vehicle you want, and you're welcome. At the end of the year, you should be able to save a bunch of money. You can tie it to the beet harvest, where you make a large amount of money. Generally, we can't promise it. The weather can go bad, right, Trish, at the beet harvest?
Right, yeah.
But generally, you can make a lot of money in a very short period of time at the beet harvest. This is just a super opportunity. Trish, I really appreciate you taking your time, talking to us about all this. It's a great opportunity for a lot of people.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate you taking the time and talking with me as well. So thank you.
So, folks, there you have it. A crap ton of money is waiting for you. If you want it, just contact them. Very, very good. It's just a great job, folks. Great opportunity. I hope you all take it. And I hope you've all learned something from this video. You've gotten an opportunity to consider a great job. And if you got anything out of this video, like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, and we'll talk to you later.